Department of Corrections, Greensville Correctional and Work Center. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up or press 1. To prevent calls from this facility, press 9. Your current balance is $18.46. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
Hello?
Hey, Jacob, it's good to hear your voice, man. I would ask you how you're doing, but I always feel uncomfortable asking prisoners that because I just know you're going through hell.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, it's, I guess, all a battle of perspective, right?
Yeah. Well, what's new, man? Eddie Miller's going to have, I think, me for 20 minutes on the radio program tonight to talk about a variety of things, but I know he always asks about you, and I didn't know if there was any update that I could give that, people can do to help you out or anything.
I mean, just pretty much, last time I talked to you, I was at Coffeewood,
Right.
I got moved to Greensville, and so I've been trying to get comfortable here and see what's going on, see what the compound is like, and, I heard Greensville was really nice, really great. It just depends on what you're into. They don't write a lot of charges here, so if you like drugs and fighting and all that, you're in heaven,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's terrible, man.
Like the staff doesn't really get in the way of anything, really,
Right.
So, but I guess in a way, if you want to keep a clean record, it's kind of a good thing, Although there's positives and negatives to it. The fact that you don't tuck your shirt in, the COs don't come up and write you a charge is a positive thing, Especially if I'm trying to work my level down and get into a better situation,
Yeah, I got you.
So, the food is meh, it was better at Coffeewood. And let me think what else is there. Yeah, they're not very responsible on the paperwork. If you write any paperwork down, like they don't respond very well. They just don't really care.
Yeah, I got you. While you're talking, I looked up the Virginia Department of Corrections and I typed in your number, and I was going to try to find out your release date, right? But for your release date, there's just a big blank. There's nothing there, So I don't know why they don't have that.
Oh no.
Huh. Yeah, I'll maybe print this. I'll maybe print this off and mail it to you so you can see it. What I'm talking about.
Right. Maybe they haven't made up their mind yet.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if they told if you had one in mind. I mean, I figured. I hope you get out tonight. I hope the Lord sends an angel and busts you out of prison tonight. But if that don't happen, I'm I'm wondering what the date is. We should all be thinking about to try to.
They gave me an estimated date, and it was like October of 2020. I want to say 2024 or 2025. I
got you. Okay. My God, man, that's sickening to even think about.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. I'm kind of like numb to it because it's like it just doesn't feel. I don't know. It's just my mind hasn't digested it all the way. It's just like I still feel like. Is this a real joke,
I can relate to what you're saying because I wake up every morning and I think, is this really the freaking world I grew up in? Is this really happening?
Right.
Yeah, insanity, man. Well,
I used to keep up on the news.
Yeah.
But I haven't been lately, and I watched the news, this morning. It's just like everyone's getting shot and ran over and blown up. I'm like, wow, the government shut down.
Right.
You get really caught up in here, like you get tunnel vision. You don't really, I never got people who didn't watch the news, but now I kind of do. I'm like, I kind of call myself like, dang, I haven't watched the news in, a week.
Right.
I really wanted to. That's crazy,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we're always on the verge of a financial collapse. But I've got a friend, he's about 75 years old, and he's a cross between Santa Claus and Moses and a Harley-Davidson rider, and he said he said that he was expecting a financial collapse in the early 1970s. So it's like we're always on the verge of some major calamity, it seems. But
All
anyway,
right. I love to talk to people like that who've been through a lot of stuff. They're like, man, they were saying that back in my day. Don't believe that.
Right.
I'm like, dang, really?
Right. Yeah, his favorite saying is, "I've seen the end of the world about 17 times." I was like, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah, right. Y2K.
Yes.
Was it was it 17? No, 12, 12, 12.
We had the swine flu. Remember, swine flu was going to wipe out everybody, and then Ebola. The Ebola was going through the
then
hospitals.
Ebola, the Ebola was going to kill us all, and they just keep letting in like immigrants with Ebola. Like,
Right.
Okay, guess they don't care.
Yep. Well, hey, is there any books we can get you to help the time go by quicker? Anything in particular that anybody can do, man? Because I know that's what they always ask me. It's like, what can we do to help Jacob? And I don't know what the latest is with your appeal, but I know that you may not be able to share that because a lot of people don't like to share their legal.
Right. Well, I talked to my lawyer about it. I actually need to give him a call. I had to give him a call because of the holidays. Last I heard is it was sent in. He was saying that probably one of my best shots is going to be in a habeas, which apparently a habeas is the last thing you do and it takes the longest. So that's a little disheartening, but it's reality,
Yeah.
But I guess anything can happen,
Yeah. Well, we're praying for a miracle, and I think it's the more awareness we can raise about your case, and people get to know about you and what happened. I think it's just going to be so apparent. What a terrible miscarriage of justice.
And you've done a phenomenal job of it. Thank you, and thank your wife, and thank everybody out there. Everyone that listens to the show, everyone that sends money, everyone that even has me on their mind. That's awesome. You've done a great job. I can't thank you enough.
No, I'm very humbled. I'm very humbled that you would say that, Jacob. But it really tears me up that this has happened to you. And I wish we didn't live in a world like this. I wish you weren't in freaking prison for something that's so stupid, And I wish we had justice. But part of me, like, there's an inner part of me that wants to like go storm the prison. I know I can't do that, and I won't do that. I'm not trying to advocate violence, but it's like somebody's got to get some freaking common sense and do the right thing, man. It's like it's just terrible what's happening. But I do pray that people wake up and get a conscience and realize that we got to get people like you out of prison. And just to realize all the atrocities that our criminal justice system is not only doing to you, but it's doing to many other people.
Oh, I mean, and you'd be surprised who I'd run into that has a slap on the wrist for insane charges.
Oh yeah.
And then you run into other people who have charges that aren't that bad, and they have tons of time for them.
Right.
So I'm like, really? Really, you did something that crazy? That's crazy. When you get out, I'm gonna get out until 4 years after that.
Right. It's insanity, man. There's no justice in our justice system. Matter of fact, one guy who got shot twice in the head and twice in the chest, his name is Jeffrey Winehouse. We called the Attorney General. And one of the ladies who answered his phone says, well, we're on the prosecution side of that. And the guy that was talking to her said, what about justice? What about looking into a situation and just finding out what's true and what's not true and like pursuing justice rather than just picking a side? We're on the prosecution side. What the hell does that mean? So.
Right. Well, there's a guy that I was talking to someone in here. There was a guy. He said he was like kind of like a sovereign citizen who was out of Texas.
Okay.
And I was like, really? And I'm trying to get his name, and I'll either send it to you in an email or find out and tell you next time I call. But he was talking about it. He was like, yeah, this guy's a sovereign citizen. He's all about, he's huge Christian to the King James Bible. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, what's this guy's name? Because I was thinking you immediately,
Yeah.
And he said some different name, and he was like, he's with the Sovereign something, like he was a group, and he was like, he's out of Texas. I'm like, well, Rudy's got to know who this guy is, then, you know. And he was like, he advocates for people. And I'm like, that's got to be Rudy.
Well, I don't call myself a sovereign citizen, but a lot of the prisoners that I advocate for, the government labels them that. You know how the government will pick a phrase to make it to demonize a phrase, and then the Southern Poverty Law Center will write a, you know, like racist. They'll just say, well, he's a racist, and it's like they haven't even looked into somebody's freaking belief system to understand what they really believe, but they labeled you a particular word. So that word sovereign citizen, I believe, was made up by the government in order to demonize people. And I would ask anybody that calls themselves that, or anybody that calls me that, like, what do you mean by that? What exactly, do you think that term means? Because I don't even know what it means, and I don't call myself that. But
right.
you know what I mean. It's like I think people need to look at something beyond just a label that the government applies to us. So.
Well, it's like in debating, you know, like you have positive and negatively charged words, right?
Yes.
And the R word is one of those big words, and it's you're trying to. When debating, especially the left, one of the best tactics is to assume the moral high ground, you know?
Yeah.
So to throw out a line that is negatively charged to diminish your character in the eyes of the audience, and then put themselves on a moral pedestal, setting you up for their attacks.
That's very astutely put. It's very astutely put. They invoke this word because it involves all these connotations that may or may not be true, but yet they've invoked the word. So therefore, you know, they have thinking they're taking the moral high ground, but people don't get involved in deep discussions anymore to understand the true meaning of what's really going on. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it's and for a long time I didn't even know that was going on, you know, and that's like a lot of things that we. I don't even want to use the word naive, but I was naive to it, you know, because I didn't believe in the idea of subliminal imaging or, you know, when you're being said something that it has an effect on your way of thinking, you know.
Yeah.
And it very much does. The words we use and how they're charged and what you know, the meaning of the words change for the times, you know.
Right. And of course, with the soundbite news. Mainstream news that we have, they only have like 3 or 4 minutes to cover a story, so you know, they use all the sound bites that gets the most attention and most popularity for ratings, and they never go, you know, into a deep dive into a story to tell the real truth.
Oh yeah. Just like my phone calls on the whole NBC thing is like, you know, like there's a lot of dialogue that got snipped out of that. A lot of good points I made.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
But of course, we know what we're dealing with. You know, we know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, that was a total propaganda hit piece. I'm very disappointed in the gentleman from NBC who did that whole thing, and just the way everything was handled. It was, I mean, for people that had, like myself, that had seen this happen time and time again to other prisoners and to other targets, you know, I could see exactly what they did, and it was just terrible. And they were trying to justify the fact that you got such a harsh sentence, so they have to paint you as some sort of monster. And the fact that they brought your family into that is just unforgivable. And you're blessed with like the 2 best parents I've ever came across in my life, man. you really got a couple of winners there. And for them to do that, I mean, NBC's going to have a especially hot place in hell, you know.
Oh yeah. And the funny part is like usually as a rule, you know, people's families backtrack. You know, they're like, oh, I had no idea, or oh, you know. I'm not like that, or oh, you know,
yeah,
and we've been like through a rock the whole thing, and then it's just like, what?
Yeah.
You mean you don't want to like hide your face in shame and run away? Like, you know.
I know, man.
No, we love each other, you know?
I totally understand and can empathize with what you're saying, because you're so right. Most people, oh, where can I get to the nearest microphone to give a big apology? But your parents ain't doing that at all. They're like, hey, you know, our son is innocent, and you know, we ain't going and hiding, and we're just going to become even louder. It's like, it's such a beautiful thing to see something like that, because it's so rare.
And that's the way it's always been. Like, my parents are just 2 awesome people. Like, I would come home from school sometimes, or I'd come home, you know, and have an old friend, like, you know, I'd be off at work and come home, and an old friend be hanging out with my parents. I'm like, what are you doing hanging out with my parents? You're my friend. They're like, we love your parents. I'm like, oh, come on, man. You know?
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. You really, God really, blessed you with a couple of good parents. I can tell by talking to, both of them. They're really, really special people.
Oh yeah, and I was just saying that the other night. I was talking to somebody because I was like, man, this is a whole new world for me. Like I'm telling you, in here, everyone's got an angle, everyone's got a vice. I mean, I'm talking liars, drug addicts. I mean, just larceny everywhere, and I'm just like, this is a whole new world. I have to adjust and understand, everything. Like I have to, there's cool solid dudes in here that are trying to get with the program and say, look, watch everything, watch everyone's body language, watch how everything's being coming across to you. It's really a whole new world in here,
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not used to this, I've
Yeah.
never struggled with drug addiction, I've never struggled with, I guess, never struggled. I've never had problems wanting to get something from people to be their friend, or to,
Right.
use people.
Yeah, everybody, man. And the Bible teaches that men's hearts are wicked, and that's why I know that it's. I personally believe the Bible was not written by men because it's the Bible is so negative on men. It always talks about how men are trying to abuse one another and take advantage of one another and screw one another over, and I bet it's even worse in prison, man. It's just, it seems like everybody's got an angle and everybody's got like an agenda and trying to use somebody for something, and it's got to be a horrific environment. But I do pray that you come across some individuals that are not like that and that, are true friends. There's got to be a few in there.
You get one or two. And the thing is, even the dudes that you do, they're like, man, you got to, even the ones you think that are good, you have to watch them because 4, 5, 6 months later, you might find that they're a different person when they get a drug in their system.
Right.
When they change camps or something changes about it, their mask, they get tired of wearing the mask,
Right.
And that's why I'm like, man, and the thing is, I don't wear one. So it makes me even more of a big target because it's like they can see right through me. They know the real me.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
putting up a defense.
Yeah.
So it's very alienating, I feel very alienated.
Right. Right, because it's not your nature to like slip into a second personality or a deceptive personality. You were raised to be honest and forthright, and say what you mean and mean what you say. But and there, if you do that, like you said, you do become a very big target. I had another friend. He was like 6'4", big white dude, and he was like a jovial, outgoing, interacted with everybody. And man, he just got torn up in prison because everybody wanted to, tear him up because he was just so, he just put himself out there. And I would imagine in prison that can be a very dangerous environment because everybody's looking for somebody to, take down. So
it definitely is like, and it's like even people are constantly testing you, and it's like a small, like coming and asking for, 25% of a bar of soap, right?
Yeah.
Just to see if you'll give them something. And they're like, all right, my foot's in the door. This guy will give me something. I'm going to keep asking for little things and let him grow into something bigger, right?
Yeah.
Or even like someone borrowing something from you and then paying you back, and then borrowing something from you and paying you back, and doing that over and over again. And then one day they ask you to borrow a lot of stuff, right? It's like, well, Mom, I've always hooked you up. I've always paid you back. My credit's good with you, and then boom, they're gone.
Yeah. Right.
It's crazy. It really is crazy.
Yeah, and that's from my perspective, Jacob. That's why the Bible says that the Lord is a man that he should not lie, and that he will never leave us nor forsake us. So that's why, from my perspective, I always put my faith in the Lord because I can't trust in man. The Bible says, "Cursed be the man that trusteth in man." But Jacob, I got to share something with you. There's a conference call that we have every Saturday. It's called the Gideon's Army Conference Call. There's about 12 people waiting for me to get on it where we advocate for prisoners. I'm going to bring up your name and ask everybody to pray and to write you a letter, but I do have to go because I have to host it. I have to open up the call. So, but let's stay in touch, brother, and I want to make sure we do everything we can. And if there's any particular books that you want, or anything at all that comes up that you want people to know, we're there to help make noise and shine light. And please know that there are a few people out here with common sense that realize you shouldn't be in prison and are upset about it. And we want to help. I just don't know what I can do if I don't take...
You have 1 minute remaining.
So...
Uh-oh.
But,
all right, well, thank you very much, Rudy, and thank everybody else out there for me if you see them or you talk to them. And I'll make sure I keep in touch. I've been kind of radio silent for a little bit there, but I'm going to try to stay back in touch with you and give everybody an update.
Okay.
So, thank you, and you have a great day.
All
man.
right. You too, Jacob. God bless you, man. Thank you for calling.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for using GTL.